Let's go ahead and call the Board of Directors meeting to order, April 9th, a little after 7 o'clock here. Let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First off, thanks everybody for coming tonight on a beautiful April day. Denise was the roll call. Can we get roll call, please?
Absolutely.
I skipped last month and I feel like I've been gone for a year. Holy smokes, thanks for keeping me in check.
I got you.
Okay, Director Lohmeyer.
Here.
Director Johnston.
Here.
Director Walper.
Here.
Director Martinez.
Here.
Director Berman.
Here.
Vice Chair Rydell.
Here.
Chair Wheeler.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Denise, was the agenda properly notified?
Yes, it was.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Chair Wheeler, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion needed on this? Any changes to be made? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Excellent. First up, we have our Board of Directors reports. We're going to start over here with Director Walper.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to know that, about, I think 3 weeks ago, we had our DHP, Destination High Performance, where we had people here from all over the U.S., and I'll tell you, I was really impressed. I wasn't able to attend on Wednesday, but Thursday morning I got here a little early, and being the shy guy that I am, I went right down the middle, introducing myself and talking to people, and met this three different groups: Mississippi, Baker City, and I think it was San Jose. They were all very impressed with what we're doing here, and you know, I'm proud to be a part of this. It just really surprised me that there was such enthusiasm from people all over the U.S. to come to Little Estacada that unfortunately a number of people out there in Facebook land don't understand what a good job is going on here. So I just wanted to relay that to the public, that I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Director Berman?
Sure. Let's see. I was able to go to the health curriculum review. Let's see. I met with Mrs. Green there. She walked me through how the curriculum's laid out. I was able to, there's a good index with backup. We could go through everything. I checked K through 12, looked at all the topics. They looked favorable, normal, good topics. One to point out, I saw a financial section in the health curriculum. Strange place to see it, but I'll take it anywhere we can get it for the kids. Anytime we can talk about checkbooks and savings, and good place. But nice layout, looked good to me, and I left some comments for him. I got to go to the track meet, our first home track meet. I know that the facilities team did a lot of work to get ready. Looked like there were some fresh lines painted. There was a nice arch coming in, and all the athletes were showcased. And I don't know the exact number. It was well over 500 people there.
Wow.
And if you've been to a track meet, they can be really chaotic or they can be run really well. And this was run really well. So good job to whoever owns that responsibility. And I think I know we're in the Dalles tonight, and I happen to know a school record was broke tonight again. So we'll hear more about that later, I'm sure. And then we just got to enjoy some baseball, tennis. Everything's looking good out there. Spring's a good time around Estacada. So that's it.
Director Lohmeyer.
Yeah, I went to the DHP thing also, and it was very cool to listen to the other school districts talk about our school district. We had a lot of good conversations about how they would be able to present kind of the ideas in order to turn their school districts around. Also, I happened to be in a group that went to Bethy Ross's wilderness class, and they were starting the fires. And all the teachers really thought that was cool, so, I mean, I thought it was cool also. The kids seemed pretty into it. So that was fun. It was fun to see. I think that's a little bit harder to implement. Not everybody has Bethy, so a little bit more difficult. But it was kind of eye-opening to listen to other school districts talk about the change they'd like to have and how difficult it can be to push new ideas with their administration. So, also outdoor school's happening right now. I got some pictures and updates today. I got a son there, so it looked like one of them was pouring down rain and one of them had nice weather. So my son's at the nice weather one, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then my husband and I just got back from Reno with a bunch of wrestlers. We took them to a tournament in Reno. It's the biggest tournament in the country. There's 3,000 kids there. Wow. And they did well. They did good, so.
Excellent, thank you. Director Martinez?
No reports.
Okay. Director Johnson?
Try not to double up, but my sixth grader was very excited for outdoor school. And so, I don't know how much Parker slept the night before, but he had his stuff packed on Sunday night, and they left on Tuesday. Baseball, youth baseball is in full swing. There's a lot of baseball. I'm not on the baseball board anymore, but part of the youth baseball and the high school baseball team seems to have to come back in a lot of games, but are coming back in a lot of games, so that's great. And then I just wanted to give a shout out to all the teachers, bus drivers, staff. I've got a lot of communications around conferences and so on, and trying to make sure that kids are all caught up on what they're doing in class, and just sending notes home. Often you're not told, so I wanted to tell you here that it impacts the kiddos. So thank you. That was it.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rydell?
Thank you, Chair Wheeler. I got a short list here. Last weekend, we sent 15 theater students to the state competition. 6 qualified for the national competition, which is a huge number, so good things happening in that group. They also have the play coming up next, I think it's next weekend. Yes, it is Clue, so it should be a fun show. So if you have a chance to stop in and support that group, that'd be great. Was able to make it to an OSET meet again last weekend, so that's always fun to see the kids, and they're killing it. So I don't have all the stats, but I know we're performing at an exceedingly high level, which is fun to see. So concert choir took first at the district competition. They're headed to state. Band has their district competition tomorrow, jazz band next week. And I just got another text, so I will shout it out for the group. Take the parent survey. I don't know what all schools are doing it, but I know the school that my kid goes to is doing it. So fill it out, right? We want to hear what you have to say. So please take the time and complete the surveys that the district sends out to you. So, and I'll stop there because I'm not going to duplicate other things.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to touch on something that nobody else touched on, unbelievably, is the parent-teacher conferences. It's okay. It's a softball, but you guys let me have it.
Well, we figured you needed it.
You did? Oh, I ignored you on that. Sorry, John. Director Johnson.
Call me John, too.
2 months off. Parent-teacher conferences. We went to the middle school ones at the Wheeler House. They changed up the way they were doing them a little bit this year, as opposed to bouncing around each classroom. The life class that the students go to and are kind of anchored there throughout the year. They had all the information for the kids, and then if we had issues or accolades or whatever else, you could go have a one-on-one time with any given teacher you needed. So I kind of liked the setup. It was a nice change of pace and allowed us to kind of slip in and get the Reader's Digest version if you needed to and slip out. So great job, middle school. We screwed up on the high school ones and scheduled 1 teacher, and we were supposed to schedule 7. So our bad. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that student too much. Again, youth baseball is in full swing, and it's awesome. Our our community's growing, we all know that. And if you drive by on a day that's not raining that hard, or even sometimes when it's raining really hard, there are kids everywhere. Middle school track has 80 kids out. I know high school track has somewhere in that neighborhood. The tennis courts are full. We're renting space to other school districts that don't have space. It's pretty unbelievable the amount of life and sports that are around here. And the other thing is the opportunities that the SK School District is providing that are somewhat new and fresh as far as girls flag football. We have men's volleyball now. We have a trap club that is thriving, and I know a lot of kids that I would not maybe associate with trap shooting are engaging in it. So it's pretty awesome that we have all of these opportunities, and that's only a few. So
Bowling. We have a bowling team.
bowling, we have swimming. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable that a district our size is offering all these things to our students and the families to enjoy. So great job to those involved. I'm not going to go on because we have a loaded agenda. So let's go ahead and jump right into Maggie and Danny with our Communications Department report.
Good evening. There is a lot going on in the Estacada School District, and we are excited to be intentionally communicating it. Some of our projects in progress right now, we are finishing up putting together another quarterly mailer. As Director Walper mentioned, there's so much great things that we can be proud of in our district that goes on inside the walls of our district that folks might not see from outside in the community. So this mailer is really an opportunity to spotlight and tell some of that story. I'm also excited to celebrate that our last quarterly mailer, our first one in this series, was recently honored by the Oregon School PR Association as a excellent publication. This is a really competitive award, and to be spotlighted as the #1 district in over 100 districts in Oregon is a point of pride, and we're proud to be providing a good product to the community. We also are really working on our enrollment communication campaign. As we have crowded and at capacity schools, it's more critical than ever to get a good number of how many students we can expect to come in for the upcoming year. So Danny is doing a lot of community outreach. We're doing more flyers, videos, just trying to get creative and engage our community to encourage them to enroll their students. It is also, as some of you mentioned, survey season. Please, parents, if you're watching this, take the parent survey. We also have our top workplaces survey is still open right now. And we've reached enough employees to hit the threshold to qualify for top workplaces. Of course, we don't know if they've ranked us high enough to qualify, but that's exciting that we've reached that level of engagement in our top workplaces survey. That's a big one for recruiting employees, is being recognized as a top workplace. And then also just doing a lot of growth and capacity communication and prepping for those conversations. We know that the board will talk about it tonight, and that's going to be a big conversation to have with our community, and we're looking forward to giving them the opportunity to engage. And then, of course, we recently completed Destination High Performance and school conferences, and those were just excellent engagement events. And we were happy to spotlight DHP and just have a point of pride for our staff and our community and the students that were such a great spotlight in that process. I'll turn it over to Danny.
All right, I'm happy to share our recent community outreach and upcoming events that are coming up. Obviously, Destination High Performance is a hot topic. I know it'll continue to be discussed, but I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on the social media posts that were put out there. I think it's important for our community to see what it actually entails. I think we talk a lot about it, but they don't get to see how kids are involved. And as always, Josh did a wonderful job with an engaging video that really just gets people to watch and pay attention for those 2 minutes to see what is happening and how great of an event it really was. Moving forward with opportunities to communicate and participate, most of which all already were mentioned by you guys, which I appreciate. Outdoor school's happening. We're excited to be able to sneak into a camp tomorrow and try to get some pictures so we can share that with the community, show the fun and the learning that's happening, and just the overall excitement that these kids have. It's such a fun experience. I think everybody remembers their opportunity to do that, so we love to share that. The upcoming performance, we're always happy to support the Performing Arts Department, whether that's flyers, little sneak peeks so that our community is encouraged to go. They always put on such a great show, so we hope everybody can make it. Kindergarten Connect is on April 24th, so all of our newer families, anybody new to the district, please come and meet and greet your teachers, explore some classrooms, have a chance to just see the environment that your new student will be coming into. We love to see them and then get them enrolled if they have not already. And then always, we're just eager to engage with the community, whether it's attending, supporting, or just sharing the important information with new committees and upcoming changes. We're available for any conversations or questions. We will be having a presence at the annual egg hunt that's coming up in a week or so, and then any of the community events like the Summer Safety Fair on May 2nd with the Estacada Prevention Alliance. We'll be handing out goodies promoting summer safety for our students, so hopefully we'll see everybody there.
We also have a Facebook Live with Superintendent Carpenter coming up on Monday. I forgot to mention that one, but we're looking forward to getting into some important community conversations. So that is Monday at 7 p.m. and we're excited to take it to Facebook. Any questions?
I wouldn't sneak into camp, that's a little creepy, so you might just.
I did warn them. That'd be weird, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have operations report. Sarah Lawson, come on down.
Come on down.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm excited to be able to offer the operations report for this month's meeting. We're going to start off with our nutrition services department. They wanted to highlight the fact that they spent April 1st as our professional development day, and Lori and team decided to do a whole bunch of essential logistics and a lot of different trainings. They went through and worked on food warehouse deliveries, delegated kitchen time. They worked on all sorts of different things in that aspect, and then they got to collaborate with our IT department and did some computer training, which they haven't. We're all getting better at our skills, and so she wanted to make sure they had that skill set and to try to help them with that. The other thing they did was they did a posters to go over what they had done. They were split up into 3 groups, and they did the hands-on SOP activity where and so they really enjoyed that. Lori said it was great and that everybody learned something and took something away from it. After it was all done, she did a quick survey of everybody, and all the cooks agreed that it was 100% time well spent. They really enjoyed their poster session and thought that they got a lot out of it, and it was really good to be able to work together and do the professional development as a team with all the kitchens together, because that's not something they get very often. And so she really wanted to highlight that. The only barrier she says they've really had recently was with the new leadership changes and being since December without really a leader in that position. But otherwise, she said things are going really, really well, and that the time was very well spent, and she wanted to thank everybody for that. Next up is the technology department. They had a crazy busy spring break. They worked 4 days, and they just were knocking everything out of the park. They were able to get prepared 246 donated Chromebooks for the provisioning so that they're ready to go. By doing this, it saved the district about $62,000. They synchronized all the on-course behavior system with PowerSchool. That reduces time and labor. They were able to repair a whole bunch of Chromebooks so they're ready for swap out. So that way when a student comes in with a Chromebook, they're able to just swap them out really quick if they have to fix theirs or work on theirs. And this was something that was one of their PDSAs that they were working on, so that way a student would not be without their technology. And Christy and team were super excited about that. They implemented the elementary rostering application. They participated in training and collaborated with nutrition services to help them on their computer skills and getting better at technology. They were just busy the whole time and felt really good about what they were able to get done over spring break. Next is the big one, is facilities. They did 49 workovers over spring break, and Director Berman hit on some, and some of the rest of you have with your reports. The track field, painting the lines. They cleaned every building top to bottom. They were able to finish up stage 1 of the seismic upgrade, which was a huge one for the district. They painted all the parking lots, new signage. They moved gravel out for the construction access at the Busbourne field. It did a whole bunch of stuff for track and field. They installed the horn wiring at the baseball field, shot put ring. The AC projects have been finished and tested, and so they're really confident that that will come in clench here in a couple months instead of teachers roasting out and everybody can be comfortable in their classrooms, which we know helps the students learn better. They just, there's too many to report, but it was a lot. They did 49. They were just everywhere over the break. So they worked their tails off. Last is my department, the transportation department. Since January, our buses and drivers have traveled 97,000 miles. Just this week, you guys were all talking about spring sports, between outdoor school, all the sporting events that are going on, and all the schools doing field trips. We have OMSI field trips for the elementaries, and all of those are starting to roll. Just this week, we have 28 trips, plus our regular routes. And we've been able to do every one. They're just heroes. The bus drivers, I couldn't ask any more out of the team and what they've been able to accomplish and figure out, and jumping from one bus into another. I've had the opportunity to drive quite a bit the last couple of weeks, and it's a lot of fun to get back in with the kids and see all the kids that I've driven in the past. We also completed trauma-informed training. I had Clackamas ESD out, and so they did another lesson with the drivers, and this is something that just in a continuous improvement mindset we will be doing going forward, and we're just going to keep rolling with that, so that way we can support everybody in any which way we can and make sure that we're trained and have all the new equipment and everything in their toolbox that we can give them. The other big win is our district vehicles, all the white vehicles. We've been able to use those for the coaches. We have 8 new Type 20 drivers, so baseball coaches, track coaches. Myself and the training department spent a few days and were able to get a whole bunch of people Type 20 trained, which will leave our drivers for smaller trips and better utilize funds in our big buses for other things. So that way we can get the kids where they want to go, where they need to go, where they deserve to go, but at the same time, save a little bit of money for the district. That's our report. Sorry, I went over. Any questions?
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's been very busy in operations, but it's been really exciting, and we're happy to have it going and, to be able to see all of it. So it's been a great thing.
As far as the regular routes on a daily basis, how many bus routes do we have? It's a little bit different with high school and the younger kids, right?
Yes, total we have 17 routes, but we also at this point are utilizing our sub-drivers to drive Type 10 vehicles to do like one-offs out of district. We just got 5 more. I got to talk to Director of Student Services, Jason Hobson, earlier, and this week we've had 5 new kids added to our specialized transportation routes. And so me and Superintendent Carpenter are going to be having a conversation about adding at least 1 more route, if not 2.
Which I'll be coming to you about.
Just a heads up, I'd like to let you know that. we are at capacity. We are running like crazy. And so it's just, McKinney-Vento has been high, our out-of-district kids, but we just want to serve everybody with, we have kids going to CCC, we're doing kids to Locke. I mean, we're running them every which direction that we can and trying to offer everything we can to them, so,
Well, great job
thank you.
on that and tonight.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right, next up, we have Finance and Accountability, Tanner Simmons.
Good evening, everyone. In front of you. The clicker. Thank you. You should have the memo that summarizes the information. But you will also see it up on the screen. So for the month of March, we brought in $3.1 million in revenue and recognized just over $4.4 million in expenditures. Year to date, we are looking at almost $42.5 million in total revenues and just over $30 million in expenditures. With all of that being said, we are projecting towards about a 13.4% ending fund balance. It is still subject to wiggle around, so don't be surprised as it moves around. Just a breakdown on our budget to actuals. For instruction, we're looking about, we're going over about 1 million. I detailed that out to you guys previously, as these are our payments to Summit Learning Charter for their state school fund. We are currently working on reconciling those payments and making sure that we're all squared up by the end of the school year.
Can I ask a question on that? As far as Summit is concerned, they're renting the facility from us, correct?
In a sense, yes, part of sponsoring them is we get 20% of their total state school fund.
Right.
So in a sense, they're renting the facility through that payment.
Okay, so there's not an added payment in there for rent.
Right.
Should we have a line item for that, do you think?
I don't know if that would be beneficial. I don't know how easy it would be to pull that out of the current equation that we have, that they pay to us. Does that make sense?
Little.
And I could add too, and Ryan, you can jump in here, but when we look at that 20% that we get from them is substantially more than other districts get from their charter school. So we're more than compensated for the rent on that, because it's very beneficial to us, that 20% of the ADM, as opposed to the standard 12% or whatever the number is out there. You can talk more about that.
I was just gonna ask, what is the standard? No?
That's something I haven't entirely looked at in terms of the logistics. Obviously, it's by square foot, and I know there's some business owners in here that probably have a better understanding of what the standard square footage rental might be. However, when the inception of the charter school was created and the contract and arrangement was created between the district and the charter school, which was before my time, before anyone's time, that contract basically hard sealed that in lieu of the 20% that we receive per kid, we are required to give them free rent for the facilities.
Okay.
And so it's really hasn't been a problem, and it hasn't come up. And again, our profit margin on the partnership's a little over $2 million. And we're certainly in a surplus when it comes to that exchange. We also, there's some other examples too. They utilize our hiring and like job posting platform. We share some technology subscriptions that we pay for. So that 20%, pays for some things too. And it's all written in the contract language. Yeah.
What's the rough square footage over there?
It's the exact same dimensions as River Mill, but that's the best I can do for you.
I know it's on the tip of Ben's toe.
Yeah.
I want to say 62,000 square feet,
I think it's somewhere around in there.
maybe 63. No, I don't know. I think that rings a bell.
Thanks. Way over market lease rate,
Yeah.
just if you're wondering. By double.
Thank you. Yeah. That's good to
It's a
hear.
good deal.
Yeah. And they pay all the utilities, they do all the landscaping, that's on their own dime. Yep.
Thank you.
And then moving into the capital, fund, we brought in $328,000. That is our reimbursement for our seismic, project at the high school. And we saw about $74,000 go out in expenses. Currently, we're projecting towards a $3.3 million ending fund balance. That is all of those funds collapsed together. So we break it out for different projects, but when we budget for it, it all goes together into the what we call 400 fund. So it's sitting pretty good right now. Then moving into enrollment, we saw a total, year-to-date, total decrease of 14 students, but an increase of 47 from last year's total. So we're still growing. And then Summit Learning Charter saw a 2 student decrease, but a total of a 69 overall increase since last year as well. And then just to keep our running tab for the state school fund revenue from Summit, this month we did not gain any revenue. We don't like to use the word loss, but it was a $54,000 expense to them, which is why we are reconciling the payments just to make sure that we're all evened out and balanced at the end of the year. It is still, as we were just discussing, very beneficial for the school district to this partnership with SLC. And then additionally, I just want to remind you that April and May tend to be busier months as we're going through budgeting season, and we have our interim audit scheduled for the end of April. So we've got a couple things on our plate, but if you guys need anything, have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out.
Great, thanks, Tanner.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Tanner.
Is there anything not discussed or shown on the financial report we need to be aware of?
No.
Excellent. Moving along, next up is Superintendent's report.
Thank you, and I do promise to keep this brief as we have a very inundated conversation with the board and a lot of important things, and I'll have plenty of opportunity, I know, to participate in that. I do just want to state by name, athlete senior, our very own Abby Berman is the person that Director Berman was referring to, who's just been an absolute rock star and history maker inside our school district organization. And we're all so very proud of her, and she just continues to shatter records and represent Estacada with class. And so congratulations to her and her family for continuing to break her own records, which I think is super cool and so great for our community and our school district. When Tanner talks about enrollment increase, and the overall enrollment for Estacada School District and Charter School is 110 total kids over the course of the year. And as you look back at the last 3 to 5 years, we just continue to see between a 5% and a 3.5% enrollment increase overall each and every single year. And I would like to start with that statistic as we really talk about how we're going to deal with growth and capacity with the limited resources and the limited facilities that we have. In response to the outdoor school, which I appreciate the board of directors who recognized how big of a feat that is to send our community's 6th grade children to the outdoors, is really quite a feat. And it's so cool to see that all but 15 kids of that class participated in that program, which I think is a validation of the parents and our community's trust in this program and where we're sending our kids and ensuring that we're exposing them to things that align with our values as a community. And the other thing I just want to shout out to Dr. Shields and Mrs. Dean, who is the vice principal and principal, is one of the things that's important about outdoor school is children leave their phones at home. This is also an outdoor experience where kids unplug and truly get to be educated about the outdoors in the outdoors. And this is the first year ever there hasn't been a parental fight over the phone situation. And so I just want to thank our parents for truly understanding and recognizing the importance of what a life looks like in a Gen Z kid and what a week could do without technology, which I think is also equally as important. We have kicked off and are in the middle of our hiring season. Obviously, we have retirements, we have people moving on, we have people that we have moved on because we also hold low performers accountable, and we're proud of that in this school district. But I would like to just report to the board that right now we're experiencing our deepest, most qualified, best hiring pool I've seen in my 7 years serving as your superintendent. We have a very competitive race for the Clackamas River Elementary School principal. We're seeing great qualified teachers entering the pool. Our specialist pool is continuing to fill up. And we also have a very competitive athletic programs open coaches pool, which is also just so joyful to see. And to Director Walper's point and everyone else, Director Lohmeyer's point about DHP, we've become a destination place for people to want to work and invest their professional career, and this is evidence of that, and I'm just very proud of what we've become. I do want to just recognize our bus drivers again for their 28 trips. This is all about kids, and this is a kids first department, and we continue to drive all over the place just to allow our kids to experience the full educational package, and that's sports, activities, and arts in that process. The employee engagement survey has now been closed, and we care deeply about employee satisfaction and the voices of our employees. We're very pleased with the results, and you can expect a full rollout next school board meeting on those results. And I also want to encourage our parents to take the parent satisfaction survey. We are a school district that prioritizes that we represent the mission, vision, and values of our community, and we care deeply about what parents think about their child's experience. And this is the most important place where we collect this data and make adjustments based on parent and community voice. And so do not miss an opportunity. If you really like posting things on Facebook, this is a great opportunity for your message to actually be heard. And I also want to thank our custodians, our tech team, and transportation service department. Spring break is such a critical time for us to just hit the reset button. And I was so proud of our operations team. We were able to welcome kids back with a clean school, refurbished technology, and safe and refurbished buses with a fresh oil change and everything else to support our kids on the road. And my final thing today is another win, and it's also just cool, not necessarily connected to the Estacada School District, but I think neat all at the same time. We have a longtime high school counselor. His name is Stephen Christiansen. He has been a forever favorite of our kids and just a phenomenal high school guidance counselor. As of this week, he wrote a book over 25 years, but as of this week, he just had his first book published out on the market. And again, it's not education related. When he was younger, like me, never mind. I'm not young.
Good try.
I don't even feel young. But anyways, when he was younger, he rode the Max line every single day to a job from like Gresham to Hillsborough or whatever. And every day on the Max line, obviously, there's a story in every trip. And he put all of that into paper and is now distributing his book worldwide. And these are the kind of things that we're just really proud of, to have talented employees who bring such a wide variety of skills and knowledge and experience that ultimately makes the Estacada children better. And I just wanted to recognize that publicly because I think that's a cool thing. That's your superintendent's report.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Carpenter? We have all meeting to ask him. Something comes up later.
Yield those questions for later.
All right, first up, we have a familiar face, somebody that comes every year and visits us. Lisa Alves, if you'd like to come on down for our first report presentation. Nice as always to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Thanks for having me. I'll be quick. I'm feeling a little melancholy today, a little vulnerable here, so you'll have to forgive me if I get a little emotional tonight. I can't believe that it's been almost 4 years since Reagan and Jordan and Zach died in the car accident. So, and this would be Reagan's graduating class. So, I don't know, big year, you know, for us at home, missing out on those things, but we're doing really exciting things in her honor. And I kind of thought to myself, like, what do I want you guys to get out of this visit? You know, I don't want to waste your time or anything, but there are a couple things, a couple of sticking points with me that, having been a parent involved in this school district, and working with the school board, I just want you to know how much I care about the kids in our community. And a lot of this is because of that. And because, you know, I would like to think that Reagan would have had a successful school experience here in Estacada. So, with that said, I thought to myself, you know, it's the same thing. I mean, you know, we're given scholarships, right? We're up to 10 now. We are renewing our scholarships every year. So it was a quick refresher, they're $1,900. 19 is significant because that was Reagan's number in softball and basketball. So we gave 2 the first year, we gave 5 last year, and we'll give 3 again this year and renew all the ones that we've done the last couple years. So we're really, really proud of that. But it also means that we have to raise money, you know, so that we can sustain that. And I think we're doing a pretty good job as a group in doing that and trying to create some value for the community and some fun at the same time, you know, just not all this heavy emotion stuff, right? So I thought one of the things I haven't told you is what we look for in a scholarship recipient. So our scholarship applications are due tomorrow, and I got a call coincidentally this afternoon from Alisanne Bresco, who said, "Oh boy, Lisa, you've got a lot of scholarship applications this year."
Awesome.
And in short, we don't have income criteria, we don't have GPA criteria, the kids don't have to be playing 3 different sports and participating in 20 clubs, because not every kid can do that. They might have obstacles at home. They might have a sick parent, you know, and they've got to go home and take care of their kid, their siblings. They might not be able to afford it. You know, I mean, there's just so many things that could get in the way of a kid participating, but that doesn't mean that they don't deserve the same shot. So we're looking for maybe kids that are a little under-resourced or underserved, but that do the right thing when no one's looking. And that, I say that a lot when it comes to the kids that we want to help. And I really mean that. So, you know, every kid has good in them, you know, and we're asking them, what are you doing? What are you doing for your community? What are you doing for your family that's different than what some other kid is doing? So we take a lot of time to read those stories and learn about these kids. But one thing that we do ask them is to learn a little bit about Reagan. You know, they can call us, talk to us. Our website's not up yet, but, you know, social media, she was on it. You could go find her, talk to her friends, whatever. And Alisanne told me today that it would probably take me a long time to get through these applications because this is her class. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing stories about Reagan and how maybe she impacted people's lives, because I still have people come up to me that didn't even know her. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I knew her. I knew about her. Or I've heard of her," you know, that kind of thing. And so this kind of gives me an outlet for making sure that you all remember her, because I think about her every second of every day. And to also remember Jordan and Zach too, and take an opportunity to respect their families and all of that. So I don't know how many applications I have, but I think I'm gonna be busy. Our board will be busy reviewing these, and I'm really, really excited to serve the kids in the graduating class of 2025. So a few other things that we've done, Safe Act. I mean, we're working in Lake County too, so We've got a youth mentor program down there that we support. We're still buying animals at the 4-H, for 4-H animals at the county fair. So we did that in both Clackamas and Lake County this year. We did have a family that lost a child this year, and we did help them with some funeral expenses and some time off work. For me, it felt good to be able to do that. Other than that, I gave you a stack of papers. We've got a raffle right now. You can win a rifle, a pistol, or a Green Mountain smoker. Tickets are $20 a piece.
Well, you can't, because I'm already winning some of that stuff.
There's only like 80 left, so if you want one, call me or text me. And we also are doing a bottle drop at the City Hall parking lot in front of the fire department this weekend. And again, all of those proceeds, this is one of our biggest ways that we fundraise all year. I think we did about $8,000 just in bottles and cans last year.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and they're coming from everywhere, not just Estacada. I'm driving a lot. It's not a glamorous job, but I do it. And then our fundraiser, and you have an official invitation, but it is a public event. So please bring your friends, family, share your invitation with other people. It hasn't really changed. We're still gonna do the cornhole competition. We're still gonna have the stage. Thank you for letting us use that again this year. The city's gonna help us get it to the house. And we'll have great music and entertainment. So we'd love to see your faces there. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
What's the date of the,
17th.
Oh, May 17th. Sorry, that's kind of important. It's May 17th.
And I'd say keep coming back. I love the updates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay,
Please.
thank you.
thanks, Lisa.
You've really grown this into a big thing. It's great.
All right, next up, we have the Rise with Maggie and Aaron Gardenhire. You want to come down and give us a report on that?
All right, good evening again. We're excited to get the RISE committee, which stands for Representation, Inclusion, Support, and Empowerment Committee, going. As a reminder and refresher, the RISE committee was created in alignment with Senate Bill 732. And really the purpose of this RISE committee is to serve as an advisory group to you, the school board, and the superintendent. The RISE committee will give input on district policies and funding decisions that really impact student success. So their aim is to reflect the voices and experience of our entire community, every segment of our community. And we're really proud of the applications that we are submitting to you today because we think that these applicants do that well. And their work is going to hopefully create a more positive and welcoming environment for every student in our school district to succeed. So, Erin, is there anything, you have really seen this be implemented in many districts. Is there anything you wanted to add to the Senate Bill 732, any of the requirements?
Sure. So the Senate Bill 732 enacted this committee to be put into every school district. As a school district less than 10,000 students, we do not have to have it in place until September 15th of 2025. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule, but this gives some onboarding opportunities. As well as holding the committee, there is also a representative on the budget committee, so they can be able to see what the budget decisions are and provide some perspective as representative of the RISE committee.
Thank you. So we have a couple of our applicants that have joined us here tonight just to see a little bit of the process. And once we meet that committee for the first time, we'll be able to appoint who is going to serve on the budget committee and what kind of roles that they are going to hold within that committee. So how we got these applications, it was open to the entire community. We did a pretty robust communication to make sure everyone knew that it was open to them. And we received a lot of interest and support, and we were happy to get a wide variety of applications. We had an internal committee that came together and they did an initial review of the applications. This was a blind review, so they didn't see any of the names, anything along those lines. And then we've passed those along to you for your ultimate decision and approval. So following the board approval, we will kind of work together to convene them for a first couple of meetings. We're hoping to onboard them over the upcoming months before taking a little break in July and really starting again in the upcoming school year. Do you have any questions about the process? You should have received the applications, and then we have a backup as well in case, I should have mentioned, this is a 2-year time commitment. So if anyone moves or is unable to fulfill the duties within those 2 years, we have a backup that we can put into place as well. And they were all really well-qualified candidates, and they did all indicate that they were willing to commit to the full 2-year time span.
Did you say we had someone on the budget committee and also this committee?
We do have someone that
So
we
you're not limited,
recommended.
is what I'm getting at. You can be on multiple committees and still do this.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Just out of curiosity, how many applicants did we have?
We received, I believe, 24. One pulled their application, but 24.
And we picked, what, 7?
7 and 2 backups, yes. Yeah, so we were really excited to get that much interest. We know it's a big time commitment, and we were really pleased that our community showed such an interest in participating in this way. We think it'll be a really valuable source of input.
What is the time commitment, by the way? One meeting a month?
They told us. That's what we've told them, is a meeting a month, yes.
Is there, one of the things that I think about as we go forward, right, is when we start something new like this and everybody has the same term, you could lose everybody at the same time. And so I don't know if we've even thought about that as we move forward, but I'd be interested to see if we can, after this first run, if we can start staggering some of those, because it's just death to a committee or a group when you lose even half, right, of the folks. So no action on that at this point in time, but it's certainly something I'd like to look at if we haven't already.
That's a good note, yeah.
And is there a term limit?
No. Yeah.
So you can do as many 2-year terms, but every 2 years, then it comes back to the board to be appointed.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
We did talk about having a 4-year term. That was a discussion that we had, but we just felt that, especially as we're getting this up and running, that 4 years was a big time commitment. And we wanted to really open this up to everyone and encourage them to take part. So we decided
You're
on 2 years.
gonna lose some qualified applicants if it's a 4-year gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a big commitment up front.
Is there a number of participants that have to be, I know we talked about 7 and 2 backup, but is there like a designated number? Is that number just number that we came up with?
There is nothing in law for the total number of participants on the committee. 7 was a number that felt realistic and made sense to the size of the community.
And the reason I'm asking is because I know that in our prior board documents, we had, I believe, 9 names and 2 backups, but that changed. So I just want to make sure if there's going to be room for adding additional, because I don't think, I would like to have or see more diversification in the listed percentage. So wondering if there is going to be space for adding those additional that dropped off and maybe do a better outreach, or maybe we could help or, reach out to get more involvement because, especially, so.
We did have one person that we recommended as a member of the committee that unfortunately was unable to make the commitment. So that's why we had one of our alternates that went in as one of our committee members. We are always open to receiving input on how we could do broader outreach.
Okay.
But we have applications in board for not all 9. So that's.
7 and 2 alternates.
Right, yeah, but all 9 of those are in our documentation.
There's 7 and 1 alternate now because we had
'cause one of the ones
one
that's
that
in
was
here is no
unable
longer.
to be a
Thank
part
you.
of that commitment.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions at this point in time?
Not yet.
Okay,
All right, looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies.
we got a bunch of fun topics tonight. Growth and capacity is the next one. Jennifer Berman, come on down as you're taking a seat. Great job with organizing and herding cats at DHP.
Thank you.
It was wonderfully done.
It was a great experience.
I kind of like the intimate, smaller approach this time around.
Yes, we got to dig deeper this time, which was great, and it's always fun to showcase our hard work and get a chance to celebrate some good wins. So I am here tonight for a few topics, so bear with me as we move through the agenda tonight. This first one here, I had the honor and privilege of leading a committee that was made up of our community who looked at and are addressing the issues we have with growth and the capacity of our buildings. So I'm here to talk about that tonight, to present to you our recommendation as a committee, and then it is turned over to you to make the decision of what those next steps look like and determine what we're going to do. So as we know, we are growing like crazy, and we did not pass a bond to address that growth, and so we still have that growth and capacity piece to deal with. It doesn't go away when that bond did pass. So we brought together a group because we needed feedback from our community. If you're not saying we do it this way, then what's the way you want us to do it as a community who sends their children to us, employs us to do the job that we need to do to educate them? It is really up to our community to determine what then we do with the growth and the buildings that are owned by our taxpayers. So we brought them together. We had about 24 people who signed up. We had 15 who regularly attended. And let me tell you, this was a very engaged group. I appreciated them so much. They asked great questions. And all along the way, even between our meetings, they were sending me emails, asking questions, bringing up things we could talk about. And they did a phenomenal job of going after a meeting into a basketball game, going to their family dinner table, having some conversations around it, and bringing back that feedback so we could talk through it as a community. We had a really good time together just working through things that, as they were part of the committee and being able to see the data and look at all the things, they knew that other people weren't hearing and seeing those things. And so they had to start being a representative of that information because it's critical for how we move forward with our community. So it did end up taking us 3 meetings and a lot of work in between, but we do have we actually came to a very easy consensus, and I say easy only in the fact that it was very clear what we needed to recommend to you, and that we are looking at the 26-27 school year. So this is not something that will happen next school year, but the following, and this gives us an opportunity to, once you decide what you want us to do, how we as a district will decide how we will do that, and we do need time to implement that in a really good way and communicate. So here we are. Here's all of our buildings and their current student enrollment and their square footage, capacity, all of those pieces, and we are really quickly running out of space. And it's happening in a way that is causing an issue with, we've always been really good at making sure, especially at our elementaries, that we're offering the same education no matter what elementary school you are in. If we continue to progress the way that we are, we will begin to experience things where River Mill students are not getting the same education that a Clackamas River student would be getting. One little fun tidbit I put on this side, when I take all of our schools, our 4 schools together with their total capacity, so let's just throw out grade levels. Our total capacity is 2,369. Right now, what was our total student? We were about 19,000, somewhere in there, close to 20, or to 2,000. So we are solving a very short timeline problem, or solving the problem for a very short timeline. So that was something our committee did have to talk about. We're gonna make these recommendations, we're gonna go through all of this, and it is a very Band-Aid fix for our growing. If we continue at the rate that we are going, this is temporary, and I will probably be back here in a couple of years having the same conversation about what we do until we can do other things that expand beyond the 4 buildings we currently have. So with that being said, we started our committee off with 5 options that we talked about. We talked about just continuing status quo and making sure that we don't disrupt anything, we continue going at what we are, and what that entails, and that entails adding portables to becoming portable city, even more than we already are, more in one school. Means one school would have some more opportunities than others just due to space, capacity, staffing, all of those things. The next one was moving our elementary school boundaries. So looking at our current setup and just changing our boundaries, and I know I've been through boundary changes with a few of you in the past. It's not fun. And we did have the community specifically, we are not gonna tell you what boundaries we're changing. We want you to pretend like it is your neighborhood and your child that has to leave their friends and look at that, because you're representing those people when we make these decisions. So we were really cautious of making sure it wasn't like, well, as long as it's not my neighborhood, I'm good with the boundary change. As a committee, we could not look at it that way. We had to look at it from the person who's gonna be affected the most. The third one was a reconfiguration of our elementary schools, and that's just creating, with the two buildings, creating a K2 and a 3-5 option. And with that, it solves some of our problems at the elementary, but we have a middle school problem where we are out of room quickly, and it was not addressing that. We would end up with portables in that setup as well. We also had to take a good look at Eagle Creek. It's another building in our district. Summit Learning Charter is there right now. Financially, it would impact our district if we decided to move them out. What it would look like to start up another school financially with all new administration, staff, those kind of things. While we would be moving probably teachers, there would probably be a lot more that we would need to do, adding a 5th building. So we looked at the financial piece of all of that. And the last option that we looked at was similar to what we had proposed in our bond package, and that was a total reconfiguration of our grade levels. And looking at all our buildings, the capacity, the numbers we're at, looking at projected numbers, and figuring out where we basically have to move majority of our students to distribute them a little bit more evenly across the board. So this is what we presented to our committee. They were great about looking at data, looking at stats, looking at what other districts, the configuration of some of these options, what other districts do and how they're doing with those things. North Marion's one who has the K2, 3-5 type campus, so we looked at some of theirs. Lots of work. I'm really proud of our committee, and I hope with this recommendation you trust that this committee did a really good job of looking at the data, looking at outcomes for students, listening to the people around them, and making a recommendation that they knew was probably best. And like I said, it actually came very easy because of the work that they did. And while there's going to be people who don't agree with it, I hope they can trust that this committee might know a little bit more than they do on the topic, and so they would be a good spokesperson to talk to with their questions. So after our first couple of meetings and looking at that, we did a first vote, which quickly eliminated 3 of those 5 options. We decided status quo was not the way we wanted to go. We were creating some inequities between our buildings. We were going to financially have a burden of adding more and more portables. And some of our schools would look really different, and they did not like what that end result would be with that. Eagle Creek, again, what was really interesting, some of the committee members brought up, some who even attended Eagle Creek as students. We have done such a good job being kind of this close-knit community of schools that walk to each other's, visit things. Our kids get to go to the auditorium, and they really didn't like the fact of having that outside school with new safety risks that we deal with now that we didn't deal with back when we had Eagle Creek open in the past. And we looked at the financial costs to losing Summit, and if we didn't have a place to put them, we could potentially lose them as an option. And looked at the fact that you really are staffing a whole new building and what that could financially look like. So that got cut off of ours. And then the last one was just changing the elementary boundaries, got taken off the list, mainly because it was still not addressing our middle school issue. And with just doing the boundaries on that, more than likely, because most of the housing is coming to River Mill, we, like I said, would be back here again saying we need to change the boundaries again. It's gonna constantly be a river mill problem. And so they just didn't feel like that was as sustainable to move forward with that. So this left us to look at the reconfiguration of not just the elementary schools, but all of our K-12 schools. So that's when we then pulled up every building's map, and we pulled up capacity, and we looked at numbers, and we looked at projected numbers, and just looked at all the different ways that we could reconfigure our grade levels between the 4 buildings that we have committed to using in this process. And when we did that, we ended up with almost 10 different scenarios of how you could do it. And our very last meeting, we went through each one of those and looked at numbers. We looked at why. We looked at some of the conversations and feedback they've gotten from their community around them. And we quickly started just crossing it off. And it was a really nice collaborative conversation. And people are on board. There's some hesitation. There's some people who kind of felt like, ooh, we're nervous about this 7, 8 going to a high school building, but we talked through different options with the building, looked at the map, how would we separate them, what could a bell schedule look like? We spent a lot of time and effort. While there's still a lot to figure out, and there's gonna be more things we did not think of, the part that makes me feel good about moving forward with this recommendation is knowing we still have time. We know things can change, and I also told the committee, we might be called back in 6 months to say, now it's booming over here, let's relook at this. Or we just had a high school boom and this plan's not going to work. So again, this is a recommendation, but I do think it's time our community starts really looking at the fact that we need to do something because the current status quo is not good enough for our kids. We're better than that. So right now, we are recommending our number 1 pick is a K2, which would at this point in time, always subject for change, we're looking at River Mill being the K2, Clackamas River being a 3rd, 4th grade campus. The current middle school would be a 5th and 6th grade campus. Our 7th and 8th graders would move over to the high school. It would actually be in this wing with some separation, like I said, different entrances. And then our 9-12 high school will stay intact, but shifting to a different part of the building and utilizing some of different resources we have in our current building, just because that's where the most capacity is right now. Some pros to this, we can create some equal opportunities across the board. We don't have to say one school is offering something better than another school. We're all in it together. And we can target some resources. Having these targeted grade level buildings allows us to really bring in the early childhood specialists and let them stay in one building. Right now, they're split between 2 buildings and trying to support both. Looking at the fact that this allows almost every space some room to grow. So we do think this is the one that will provide us the most time before we have to come back to it, if we continue on the trajectory that the city and our research has shown we could get to. We will do a lot of work, so I know the biggest piece for those parents, that 7th and 8th grade moving to high school. So we'll do a lot of work. We'll bring in some more experts to look at bell schedules, lunch schedules, putting up some walls, and moving our office so they have a separate entrance, some different things that'll help create so they can still be the 7th and 8th grade group, have that experience as junior high students, even though they're in a different location with the high school. What this does do is creates a K-12 cohort, which actually kind of excites me. Right now, we do have 2 separate elementary schools that come together, mix up social groups at that middle school at a very vulnerable time, and our data shows that's a rough transition. This allows us to start together, and we're gonna go through the whole thing together, and we even talked about all being rangers, which could be kind of a fun thing. That's down the road, but just, I want you to know what the committee was kind of looking forward to in this recommendation. Our second one, it was a runner-up, and that is continuing with the 2 elementary schools, but going 2 K-4s, going with the 5, 6 at the middle school, and still doing that 7, 8 transition to the high school for a 7, 12 campus. That would require a boundary change just for those elementary. And again, we think we would, this is why this became a second choice. We would have to continue to rechange the boundary or add portables as we continue to grow. It's pushing Rivermill a little bit to do this as is. We would still keep the plan for the 7th and 8th. But we kind of put this in place because it is one less transition than the first recommendation that we made. There was some concern about how many transitions this is doing. We looked at other school districts that have this. There's no research, good or bad. I think it honestly is about how good are we at systems. And I would say we're kind of the best around the nation right now with systems. So I think we could do a really good job of making sure that those transitions go smoothly. They're going with their cohort group. It's within walking distance. There's a lot of things we can do to hype up that piece of it. But if that is something you're concerned about, option 2 has one less transition for our kiddos. Questions or comments?
I've got a question. So, number 2, and I don't want to go against the grain, but it seems like it's second, but I think that it offers K-3 reading to work together, which is when you get to 3rd grade, that's when the high stakes happens. And so when you transition them to a different building, that means who's providing support for the 3rd graders who are reading at a 2nd or 1st or kindergarten level. Now, there might be interventionists at that building, of course. But that, I would see that being one hesitation for me, saying that K splitting 2 and 3, just because of the high stakes testing that we get in grade 3. But I'm glad that the community had an opportunity to share and work through all of this. And I don't want rebounding either, because I know that is never a great conversation, but part of me thinks number 2 is better for kids, better for learning, but that's because I'm on the outside here. In our systems, it would be something that we would look at as holding 3rd grade with the younger grades because of the high stakes tests.
And those are all different things we have to consider. I feel pretty confident right now. K2 is what's supported by the early literacy grant, and the work that we're doing, we're seeing huge gains already, and I'm going to talk about that in my next presentation. But with that, I feel confident, especially confident in our teachers and our instructional coaches and in our administration, and knowing what our kids need to do. And if they're not there, we do have the interventions in place that we could support that. And again, this is something new, it's a change, and if we do it and the data's showing us it's not working, I'll probably be coming right back here and saying this isn't working, we need to look at something else, because no matter what, I want to make sure our students come first, and the data shows that this is not harming them in any way.
I don't have any questions. I would just want to say thank you to you and the committee, because I know there was a lot of conversations that were had, and I had a lot of getting stuck in the ice cream aisle at the grocery store conversations. But I will say that every conversation that was originated by somebody other than me, it was very much I want to learn more. I heard this. What have you heard? And just today, I had 3 parents ask me if we were voting on this tonight. And I said, we're not, we're seeing it tonight. So, but please come to the board meeting. I'm sure this baseball game's gonna get done about the time we're gonna have this conversation, so come on in. None of them took me up on it. But important work and critical conversations. And so just based on what I've heard and how you explained it, I really appreciate the organic nature of the conversations, and really let's let the committee work through it. And land where the committee lands, but at the same time presenting factual information, right? Like boundary changes, like where is the capacity, where do we have it, and what, we can make changes that don't address the actual problem, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, this is a bit of a Band-Aid fix, because if the growth continues, but to your point, even potentially option 2, we could have to reboundary again in a year. Mm-hmm. Or portables or anything like that. And so I just appreciate the work and your thorough explanation of the process and the work that was done by the committee. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Not right now.
There's a lot here. It's, I don't know.
Here, sorry, one question I do have, and this is for also Superintendent Carpenter, but as board members, as we chew on this and questions come up,
Yes.
where should we direct those questions to?
You can direct them to your superintendent, and I'll filter them out where applicable and
Perfect.
get you answers in a timely fashion.
Yep.
Thank you for asking.
So 30 days to think about it. We got to vote next month,
Correct,
Yep.
and then still subject to change after a vote if
correct,
we get 100 new high schoolers.
yes.
So then I would also ask the board that if there's questions, if there's concerns, that we ask those questions long before the next board meeting, so that we can get the answers to those prior to vote day. So we've got a month, that's a lot of days. And so please, and as an ask to the board, if you have questions, let's get those to Ryan and get those answered, so that we're not asking for information next month and then potentially delaying a vote.
And you said there was no real good information about transitions, like transitioning buildings?
There's no good research either way, and in fact, one of our really close student partners who came to DHP from Mississippi, they have this type of configuration mainly because of segregation that's happening in Mississippi to try to disperse students in a more equitable way. And they actually have created such a fluid system that based on numbers, sometimes those grade levels at buildings change. Like sometimes the fifth graders will stay because that group's smaller and we can bring in. So one year that campus might be a second or a 3-4, and the next year it might be a 2-3. And they've been able to do it very seamlessly because of systems to where it's just, these are all our kids. This is a class. Where does this class fit and how are we gonna support them best? And then the building comes after that. And so, I've been talking a lot with them, looking at what they're doing. They're a high achieving district. I've tried to find the ones that tell me it's horrible, and I haven't been able to find it. I also can't prove that their high test scores in Mississippi were related to that. So at this point, I'm kind of holding it as harmless, but I can see where it makes people nervous. There's some transitions there, and until we get, there's gonna be, if we implement this in 26, 27, there will be some growing pains in that transition, because there's some kids that will have to bounce back and forth until we get them on the track and get it moving. So, all those things we talked about and considered, and it is a factor.
I guess I would like to see, the next time around is the facts in terms of how much cushion are we building on each one of these facilities for growth or improvement? I mean, are we talking about, in K-2, what we've created, we have cushion for, additional 10% growth. I mean, things to consider, so.
Yes, and I can get you all those numbers if you want them. We have them from our committee data. But as you saw, just overall, it's not much growth overall. So there's definitely more room. Part of why, for example, why Clackamas River was picked for 3-4 is it actually has a smaller capacity than River Mill does. So we did look at the capacity of each building as we determined what grade level should be in there.
Jen, can you go back to the one that that shows the square footage and where the kids are at? There we go. And this is current today.
This is,
Ish.
yes.
Did you talk to the Mississippi people about busing the kids? Does it make the transportation more complicated?
Not really, and we actually, Ryan and I went to our transportation department and rolled this out with them, and it solves a couple of our problems with where our elementary, middle school routes right now are packed, and our high school is pretty small. This would bring 7th and 8th grade into that, similar to what we were before the middle school changed their bell schedule. So it distributes them a little bit better. And at the end of the day, all these kids are going everywhere anyway. So it's really just the amazing Sarah Lawson rerouting all of our kids, creating new routes. But so it'll be work. It's going to be work for everybody to pull this off. But if it's what's best for our kids and it's something we need to do, we'll do it. But at this point in time, we don't see any major issues with that. In fact, it might solve a couple of other ones that we face.
It also eliminates our transfer bus, which has been a problem as well, of kids who live in different boundaries, and the kids that visit at Rivermill. One of the transfer buses, they're missing 5 minutes a day because they're getting out early to get on the bus to head to Clackamas River to get on their home route, yeah.
So transfer bus goes away, which was a big win for the elementary schools.
So River Mill is the mirror image of Eagle Creek?
Yep.
Similar,
They
no,
have-
With the
it's
annex.
They
similar.
have 3 more classrooms
Yeah.
at Rivermill, right?
To push it to 70,
Eagle Creek's bigger.
roughly?
Oh, Eagle Creek's bigger.
Eagle Creek has that second back wing,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that hallway off of River.
So you still think it's around 70,000?
60?
Eagle Creek's around 70?
I would say it's less than that.
I would say in the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless
That makes
you
the
count
math even
old
better.
I
Eagle
want to say
Creek
your
building.
62 guess, I feel like I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in there, 62 to 65.
There's 4 classrooms in the old Eagle Creek building too, let's not forget that. Yeah.
So I just did some quick, like, tit for tat measurements here. So K2 Rivermill, right now we have 507 per our enrollment report. And this, so if we add up the current enrollment, we're at 342. So we gain,
150.
thank you,
170.
thank you, you
You
math,
get some nice
170.
capacity
math
out of that.
magician.
Yeah, 170 students less than we are right now, roughly.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
because our big group right now is that 5th grade group. Together, when they go and become 6th graders at the middle school, which is really gonna be our problem, it's 180 students in that class.
And that's next year with no change.
And that's next year, and
So
we're
that's
not
gonna
changing
happen.
yet. So it's already going to happen, but we're at a point where we're moving things around, libraries get some some walls up, kind of a situation to just survive next year without getting any more portables, knock on wood, at this point in time. But like Superintendent Carpenter said, Rivermill got 5 more students just last week. So we're also playing a game of predicting numbers, and it's fun.
Wondering, have you guys looked at California? I know, and I can't remember what era, but I know that they had a similar problem with just capacity. And I recall them different type of tracks for schedules for kids and solving that issue with capacity and changing. Very complicated, I mean.
And because they are year-round, they can make that work. So being a year-round school calendar, California is able to do different tracks with their kids, because as they come and then there's a gap, the next group comes, and they stagger them throughout the year.
And there's AM and PM school, there's different approaches. I know Las Vegas, I've studied that, and their schools in some places are so over capacity that they have an AM school and a PM school, and they just recycle kids that way too.
One of the
There's some other
challenges-
bigger issues that
Yeah.
could come
I mean,
and need change
we don't have
to
a
address.
bond to pass, and we have an issue, and we don't have a lot of space, so we're gonna
Yeah.
have to get very creative very soon, so.
Yes.
That's something that we, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
start being,
And we've brought it to the community before, a few years ago when we were talking capacity. And one of the big challenges with that, like a Nevada or a California, that whole league, that whole area is on that same schedule, right? So I was in Nevada, right? It's year round. So every school that those schools interact with are all on that same system. So when you think of extracurricular activities or
Right.
athletic activities or anything like that, if we went to a track right now, then if I'm a track 3 student, right, I might not be here for most of September, right? That's part of my vacation. I have 6 weeks from September to the middle of October, and then I come back for 6 weeks, and then I'm gone for 4 weeks, right? So it creates some challenge, and that's where the community was like, no, right? We don't want to touch this. Doesn't mean we can't talk about it again, but we may get there at some point in
Yeah,
time because
and they
there
just
isn't another
have
option.
to. Yeah.
So, but there are some significant challenges when you're the one that's doing it, as compared to the surrounding districts.
Yeah. If there are no other questions, again, just to summarize, this is a community problem. It's a community issue. As elected board executive members of the community, this is a big decision for our executive board of directors. I'm gonna be working with my team of communication and teaching and learning, to really start communicating this externally, to start bringing to you community members who are going to share their opinions. I think you can count on that, that things are going to get pretty opinionated as we go through this process. But as Maggie communicated, we're going to kick that off with the Facebook Live. We're going straight to the beast to start working through that process, and we want to be transparent. We want to be honest, and at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you have all the information you need to make what's going to be a very big decision that shapes the future of our school district. And so if there's anything that we can do to help support you, we're very blessed to have a great school board right now who is really closely tapped into the community and cares deeply about our systems. And so we couldn't be in a better spot to make a tough decision, but here we are. And so.
And likewise, right, as you're getting feedback, if there's things that we can do to help with those conversations or communications, town halls, Facebook Lives, whatever it is, right, we're here to.
That's a good idea.
We're here to do it because, to your point, Jen, it's about the students first, period, end of story. And we have to do something different. We can't survive in the status quo. I mean, go by, Portable City and fill up all the way between Clackamas River and the middle school, right? And that's just all portables. So good luck on recess, kids. I hope you like it.
At $300,000 a portable.
That was my other point. How much?
Yeah, 300,000 to fully excavated and everything.
Yeah, so if we put down 10 portables at $3 million on trailers that eventually we'll tear out and have to get rid of.
Yeah.
So probably not the most fiscally responsible idea, but sometimes we get into a corner and we have to do what we gotta do.
One last question. What do we feel like the capacity is at Estacada High School as it sits?
We are at, I had it and I just went to the next page. I want to say it's 877 up to 1,000, depending on some of our spaces that you can consider. So that is really this is the building we have the most room to grow, with high school being at 500 something
From the
right
current
now.
status?
So the capacity of students, we can go from, it's a sliding scale of 877 to 1,000.
Oh, I see, because you can put more kids in. Okay.
You can change class size too.
Class
to
sizes
address
could be,
that.
different.
But if you look at we did a population study for our bond campaign, and if I remember correctly, by the year 2030, 2029, we'll blow by this.
Okay.
It's a complex problem that our community gets to figure
Okay.
out, so
Yeah.
I'm here to support you.
Awesome.
And this is not for this next school year?
Correct.
It's for the?
Yep, 26-27 school year is when we will execute the community's desires on how to reconfigure its schools.
Okay. Everybody, mark this date on your calendar, a month from now. Thank you,
It's already on there.
Jennifer Berman. You're gonna stay here for a little bit longer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Next up is integrated application.
Yes, so I am here to present our integrated programs application for the 25-27 school year. Bear with me, there's a lot in here, and I'm gonna try to get through it as quickly as I can. So at any point, please feel free to stop me. This presentation is just about all of the pieces that go into this application. And the purpose here is to talk about the process that we went through. And this is a full redo of our integrated programs, because 4 years ago, we presented it as the first time that you approved a 4-year plan, and we are now at the end of that 4-year plan. I do come to you every year for an annual approval, so you hear about it often, but this is a re-up, and we did have to go through all of the steps that needed to be, that we had to go through 4 years ago to create this plan. And so we're here today to just talk about what we did to develop it, to get some feedback. It is currently posted on our website. If you go to the Department of Teaching and Learning, it is posted there as a draft, because we would love to have any feedback from people, as we have already received a lot, but we are keeping that open until the deadline of April 30th, when we will submit it to ODE. And I am here to present that plan for your approval tonight so that we can move forward. It still has to be approved by ODE, but before we can do that, you have to like the plan as well. Just a little bit of background, this is state funding, and one big piece, why we call it integrated programs now, we're gonna talk about a lot of different grants. You've been hearing a lot over the years. They are all now under one big umbrella. And so this was kind of done to help consolidate some of the planning, some of the budgeting. If we're pulling focal groups to get their opinion, we might as well get their opinion on all of it instead of doing it multiple times across there. And really, the point is to help just minimize how many times you have to hear me talk about these things. Here are all of the programs. I'm gonna go into them a little bit with some of the common goals for each of them. And like I said, this list, the first time I think I presented this to you is about half the size that it is now. It doesn't mean some of these are new, but other ones, they have just now come under these programs. So, first big one is the continuous improvement planning. This is one that just helps us to look at student outcomes. This one does not come with money, but we do have to create outcomes and goals for this part of the program. Everyday Matters is the next one. It's addressing attendance, making sure our kids are engaging in school. This is another one that does not come with funding, but we have to have a plan in place for it and have some outcomes that we're held accountable to. The Career Connected Learning is another one that we have a framework for as we're implementing new careers and exploring all the things through our CTE and Senate Bill 3. Again, this does not come with money, but we have to create a plan around it. Next, our high school success. You probably heard the most about this. This is mainly our CTE. It covers improving our graduation rates and making sure our kids have that career and college readiness piece to it. This funds a lot of our CTE programs, and it does come with funding that will be in the budget if you get an opportunity to look at that. Student investment is another one that does come with money, and this is really looking at the whole student. This is where a lot of our counseling, student service work comes into play. Our paraeducators for more behavior support is funded through this. We have some of our VPs just as added support in the classroom. Anything we can do to help support the whole student, not just the academic piece of it, has been integrated into this fund. The next one is the early indicator. It's our EIAS. This does come with money. It's a very little amount. We use it to fund our 9th grade success program. Now, for the first time, Early Literacy Grant is in this program, and I've talked to you separately about this one. It is our it's birth through 3rd grade, but we focus primarily with our goals on the kindergarten through 2nd work that we've been doing. We have staffed our new instructional coach through that, and I'm already seeing great results. I'm actually really excited about this one because as we get better at systems and they bring in these new things that feel like a burden to districts, for us, we know our holes, we know our gaps. We can say, nope, this is exactly where we need to be. Here's what the data is telling us, and now we're already seeing improvements from that. So excited about that. The next one is our Career and Technical. This is our Perkins grant. This is another one that comes with money, but it's not in this budget. It's in the Clackamas ESD budget, and we collaborate with them as they work with that money to distribute it among the districts. So comes with money. You won't see it in this budget, but it is part of the plan, and we do get money for it. The last one is our federal school improvement. We do not get money for this. We are a targeted school at our middle school. I've presented that to you before for our EL population. We are targeted right now. So the expectation is that we have to use all the other grants that have money to hit the goals for this one that does not have money. Basically, you can see why they've put it under one umbrella because there is a lot of overlap in a way that we can now use a lot of these resources to hit all the goals that we have. But it is very cumbersome. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I just wanted you to have that background that with this new plan that you are going to hopefully approve tonight, it involves all these things now. They will not be separated as they have in the past. We had to do a full year of looking at this grant and the planning for it and the process. So when I say here's our planning team members, and you're like, that's a lot of people, all these people were not in the same room at the same time. This was very intentional work with small groups, looking at different areas that we already connect and engage with people, and utilizing those platforms throughout the year to get their feedback on what we wanted to do with this plan. Here are all the things we were required to do to put this plan in place to be able to present to you, and I'm gonna dig into a couple of them that are more important than others. But I just wanted you to know these are all the things we are required to do, and I can tell you as a committee, we did do all these things that we needed to do for this grant. The big one is just the equity lens and how did we make our decision. As you know, through all of our work, we start with our strategic plan, our mission, vision, and values. We're rooted in that, that's what we do. We also focused on where are the gaps that we need to close. And because this is our second round of a 4-year plan, that we really started to see that flywheel turning and getting some of those gaps closed as I presented it last year's, or the annual report for it. We hit a lot of our marks, and so we are like, okay, we have some things that are working. What can we continue into these next 4 years with this new plan that are going to just keep that going? Because sometimes you just need the time and the momentum to get it going, and not just go change everything. So you'll see that reflected in this new plan. There's not a lot of change, but when we were making decisions, we did look at what was working and closing the gaps and making sure we weren't making any decisions that were gonna harm any of our students, especially some of our community that we're really trying to target with this goal, that may be underserved or struggling in any way. Our big collaborative piece, like I said, we tried to use a lot of the platforms we already did, and we used relationships we already had. So when we're pulling some focal groups of some more sensitive populations of students, we looked at who had the best relationships with them, who did they feel they could connect with, and that was the group that pulled them to get their feedback on what we can do to make their school experience better and help them be more successful as students. With our families, we utilized some of our systems we already have in place with our Spanish-speaking families every month. We went into that environment where they show up and they engage, and we came and asked them their questions or got their feedback on what they wanted to see come out of this grant and what we could do better to serve their students. It was a year process to do all of that. So our highlights. Like I said, we had to do a needs assessment, and we were fortunate enough that we did start to see some real growth towards the end of this last 4-year plan once we got a lot of these things, got people hired, got these things in place. So we really focused on what's working, let's continue to build on that. And out of that was just the whole student support, what we're doing to support social, emotional, mental health in our buildings right now is pretty unique compared to what I hear is happening in some other districts, so we're gonna continue to build on that and prioritize it. Our early literacy work, we're already seeing those gains. That's gonna start making its way through our system. Our 9th grade success has been successful for a while. It's continuing. We're gonna keep that. Behavior supports, we're always gonna come back to behavior, but we're getting better at it. Things are improving. We're changing systems to help support our students in behavior and our teachers. So how do we keep building that? And so we really focused on that in our needs assessment. The priorities, again, we're just gonna keep most of the programs we have going and just improve them. We wanna improve the support of our bilingual students and programs. And just a little tidbit, we already have been getting some ELPA scores back, and we have more students exiting than we've seen before, and it's just preliminary. I'm so excited. I could talk for hours, but I'll save that for another time about that. But if you want to talk about it, I would love to talk about it. So we're going to continue that because we now have official state data that says it is working, and we're just so excited about that. Like I said about behavior, that support, we need to continue that. It will probably always be on the top of our list as we're supporting our students. And then attendance. If you remember in my annual report, attendance was the one area we didn't hit for 2 reasons. One, we're a 4-day school, so you can miss less of them. And the other reason is just trying to get the word out to parents to then know that that's why we're getting marked down for our attendance piece. And just making sure our kids are really engaging in our schools. And we've been doing a lot of work around that. We've got some great momentum. Our high school and our middle school are doing some really great campaigns around bullying and bias things that are shifting our culture, that are getting more kids feeling safe and want to be at school. And it's a really, a lot of great work, and we're gonna continue those priorities. Our markers are gonna stay the same. I know that came up at the annual, like, do we adjust these now that we've met these goals except for in attendance? Once our plan is approved, I then have to meet with ODE, and they will look at the goals and determine if we need to change them. That's a collaborative effort with ODE, not part of this committee work. But right now, our goal is to get our middle school off that list, and we're getting close, and just improve our attendance and make sure we keep hitting the marks so that we can continue this funding, because this funding is making a very big difference in our community. I am not going through all of these, but if you want some really good reading and want to know all the things that we are held accountable to and what outcomes we are, it's all here. Every budget line item is connected to one of these. So we can't put something in the budget if it's not connected to an outcome or a strategy that we've said we're going to do in our plan. And again, this is covering all of them, not just early literacy anymore. It's covering all the things I talked about. Key investments, what you're gonna see on the website, there's also a link here posted to that. These are the ones that have the money attached that we had to budget out and say this is what we're doing, but we are still trying to hit that broad piece of all those programs through these 4 that are providing us some direct funding to our district. We also did a tiered approach with this, and this is because as I have been doing this work now for 3 years, and they give us an allotted amount, we create a budget, then they give us the next one and it changes. And then we have to adjust, and we have to keep adjusting. So one way to help combat that is to have a tiered approach. So if we get cut, we know what needs to come off. If we get more money, we can pull from our tiered plan, and we don't have to get another approval from ODE because they'll approve this with our overall plan. So it's just a way to ensure a little less work down the road, but also we hope this funding continues to increase, and we do have plans of what we would want to do, and we won't have to come back and get approval for it. This is how the state decides if we're successful on it, and those are the things that I report to you every year, those those performance targets, growth targets, all those kind of things. And here are the markers in which they do with the data, which we've talked about before. That continues with this plan. Here's how I feel like we define success on this. Knowing our district and the things that I know we're doing really well, that to me is different than how ODE might see us as all the school districts in Oregon. But if we have really strong CTE pathways where our students are learning college credit or they're properly trained for the workforce, then we've done a really good job with this money. If our middle school kids are excelling at state average and are particularly our newcomers and EL students, then we've done a really good job with this money. If all of our students are competing at a state average, which we're already there, but we continue that trajectory and we just get better and we blow those state averages out of the water, we've done a really good job, and I'm feeling confident about that. And again, our high graduation rates continue, and our kids are successful when they leave our program. That is our idea as a committee, bringing this plan to you of how we feel like this would mean we're successful, along with all the other things we have to do for ODE. So what's next is I am hoping you will approve this plan. We'll have until the 30th to get any other feedback. It's on our website. There's lots of different things you can look at. My team's ready for questions. And then we will submit it to ODE on April 30th. Pending that approval, we will then look at our long-term goals, and we will begin the process we did in the last 4 years all over again. I'll report to you annually, give you updates, all the things. Made it. Are you ready to time that?
I'm curious.
Questions or comments?
How does ODE give us the money? What's it based on? Number of students? How well we do our job? or is it a combination of things? How do they doyle it out?
Most of them are based on our student population, just our numbers. I could see where if we weren't hitting our marks and targets, they might have a conversation on taking some of that away, but we've never been there, so I'm not planning on going in that direction. But right now, it's mainly just based on student population.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we get a little extra money for some of our CTE pathways and some other ways we're pulling in more money, but right now, that's the majority of it.
The last measure of success on there was graduating, I forget the exact wording on it. High graduation rates. How long do we track our students, or are we tracking our students that are exiting Escada High School? As far as like career pathways, going to college, going, Army Ranger or whatever, do we keep track of those students?
Allison Bresco has done a phenomenal job of tracking them. We have to actually submit some data, I think, a year out. I think she tries her best to keep tabs after that, and we did a little campaign of some alumni and where they're at today. But past a year, and unless they're checking in, we are not responsible to report it, therefore, we're not necessarily tracking that.
Okay. Any other questions?
I saw 4 unfunded and 5 funded, but that was for the Perkins dollars.
I don't count.
And that's an interesting way to do a grant. Hey, we'll just have a bunch of unfunded mandates in there too.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
fun.
Sounds like the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I'll try to go as quickly as I can, and hopefully the transcript for ODE is approved by that. Okay.
Moving
Move
right
to the
along
next
to
Halfway done.
welcome.
Yes. Yeah. Whew. Sorry, guys. Okay. Next topic is our health curriculum adoption, our instructional materials. ODE requires that we follow a timeline for adopting instructional materials, and since about 4 years ago, we have been really good at trying our best to hit our marks. And so we did a language arts adoption, math, then we did science last year. This year, we pulled our committee to do our health adoption, which will begin next year pending the approval. And then the following year, we get to look at social studies. So we're making our way through, which I'm really proud of, the fact that there's been years where we haven't had the curriculum, and now we do. So just really quickly, I pulled together a committee of people, mainly for this first part, our 6th through 12th grade, administrators, teachers, counselors, those kinds of things for this piece, because 6 through 12 needed a full comprehensive adoption. And I'll talk why that's different than K-5 later on. We start every committee on this meeting. We've gotten a good routine down through all of our adoptions now after doing this for a few years. We always start with our district's mission, vision, and values. We want to make sure that what we are adopting is the values of our community, of our strategic plan, and what we represent. With health, we also had to align to our comprehensive sex education plan. And that's something that's created by a different committee, different process, but it has to align with the work that we're doing through health. So we went through all of that. We looked at the ODE options for us for adoption, and our teachers piloted some of it. We had it open to our community for feedback. It's on our website for feedback. We did get some feedback, and we're ready to move forward with our recommendation for 612, which I'm excited to show you next. And we will be doing a 612. We will not be doing a middle school and high school. We're going to use the same curriculum, which I think will help streamline some of our standards, and the fact that we have less time to do health in our elementary and our middle school because it's paired with PE. So we want to be really strategic about trying to hit as many standards as we can, so that by the time they leave us, we've given them a good overview of that. For our K-5, it was interesting this year, ODE only approved one piece of instructional materials for us to pick from. And the other piece to this is similar to science, which I presented on last year. We utilize the science, social studies, and health standards during our language for all time. We don't really have a lot of time at elementary to make those all separated out. Therefore, they don't need a full comprehensive curriculum. It would actually be not to our best interest to spend that much money on something that only gets used as a rotation during a block every day of elementary school. And our Language for All program has been phenomenal. We're seeing good results, so we're just gonna keep supporting that with good instructional materials. We met with our Language for All program, our EL team, our teachers, counselors on our K-5 curriculum, got approval from them, and our community had an opportunity to provide it, and that was our process we went through. So for K-5, we're looking at the Great Body Shop as our adoption. Second Steps will be our second resource. We're only using that for two things, and that is our bullying prevention and our abuse that our counselors do for their lessons as part of our comprehensive sex ed plan. They're gonna be using Second Steps, while our teachers in the gen ed classroom and Language for All will be using the Great Body Shop. That is for K-5 health. For 6-12 health, we're gonna go with Live Well, the human kinetics. We also have some ODE things that we have to teach, like an opioid lesson and some other things. And then our counselors are gonna be creating some bullying and prevention, drug, alcohol that aligns with all of that and the work that we're trying to do. So that'll be an added supplement that we bring to the table. Questions, comments?
Any questions, board? Thank you. Appreciate Director Berman for, you took part in the,
Yeah, Mrs. Green gave me the walkthrough. It's great, yeah.
did we have any, outspoken community support or dissent?
Of
During
the
the
people,
process?
parent-wise, that engaged, we had some, majority of people were all for it, supportive. I also realized through this, because this one should have been the one where it should have been elbow to elbow, right? You would think. The few people who did come through and meet with me in person on it, they're trusting us, which feels really good. They trust our district, our systems. We're being transparent. They know this is something where, and I even told everyone who showed up, we are going to, once we create the scope and sequence, we're going to post it all on our website. So at any time, a parent can go look at these specifically, because this is a hot topic, and preview videos, look at what the content is of the curriculum. Like, we are gonna put it all out there. We're not trying to hide anything. And right next to it, I'm gonna have an opt-out form that if you don't agree with something and you don't want us to teach it, fill out the opt-out form and we will pull your student out. We are not trying to hide. We're not trying to indoctrinate anything here. We're gonna follow the state standards and we're gonna follow the curriculum, but there still is parent choice within that. And so while maybe some people didn't like some of the curriculum options, majority, besides one, I would say, was all in favor for what we're trying to do. So I felt really good about moving forward with that.
That's good info.
It seems interesting that there was only one choice.
For elementary?
That doesn't, that's crazy.
Yeah, mainly because I think because of the political climate,
Yeah, I
there
mean, I
just
get
isn't
it,
really
it's
good stuff out there right now, and people don't like it. And all of the things that come to us for approval have to go through a committee and have to be looked at, and only one came forward.
I think everybody's kind of scared to write that right now.
For sure, but you bring up a point in how the state selects the companies of what textbooks are approved or not approved is a game all to itself.
No doubt.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here. You want to join me?
No, you have to get up and walk back there and then walk back up with her.
It's the Jen Berman show.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a lot going on.
Let's talk about CTE.
We're working hard. We're gonna talk about CTE in our next instructional material recommendation. But I'm gonna bring someone who has been working really closely, Erin Gardenhire, and she is improving our program tremendously and really dug into the work on this. It did not go through the typical adoption process of a committee throughout the year and all of the things, because this is not actually something that needs to go through that according to ODE. And we're kind of making up for the fact that we haven't done anything in a long time. So the process was different, but I'll let her talk about how we got to where we are in the recommendations.
Thank you. So within CTE, what we are bringing forth is a recommendation for some foundational curriculum. This process came to be through talking with instructors, speaking with community, and really finding out what students need to be able to do when they leave Estacada High School to be either ready for workforce entry at an entry-level position or for advanced coursework at Clackamas Community College. So as I've shared with you, we have we have 4 pathways currently. Right now, we're talking about 3 of them: the manufacturing, electrical systems, and transportation. These specific curriculums are hands-on opportunities for students to be working with the systems that they will be experiencing in industry. I say they will be working with the systems. They are not industry standard tools. What we're looking at is industry standards. Just the example I like to use is in kindergarten, we don't give students full-blown scissors. We give them kindergarten scissors. We teach them how to use it, but then that trains them to use these scissors when they get up into the upper grades.
It's a great analogy, actually.
It's appropriate to an earlier conversation.
I'm not privy to that information, so.
Very true.
Yes. You gotta hear that conversation.
So for manufacturing, we're looking at Amatrol Ignite. This is a company, Amatrol is the major brand. Ignite is their high school coursework. There are 6 modules within it. We are looking at courses 1, 2, and 5. This offers a strong balance of the technical knowledge that students need. One of the things we've heard is students need to know how to measure. They need to know how to use the tools coming out of high school. This will provide them with that opportunity. It also has the practical application. So they get to learn about processes and then they get to try it out. For electrical systems, we will also be using Ignite. So the nice thing about this particular curriculum is that we can use it actually across all 3. We're just focusing on the 2 specifically for the Ignite. All of the teaching materials are online, so the instructors have access to curriculum, videos, whatever they need. It also has assessments and ties directly into industry certifications. For transportation and diesel, we're looking at LJ Creates. This is a very similar system where it's an online module of instructional materials with hands-on opportunities to try out what they learn. I'm gonna butcher if I try and talk specifically, but if they're working on an engine, they will see a certain aspect of it in a video. They will practice in a simulation, and then they can go use the trainer to actually apply that learning. These are for our 1st and 2nd level courses, with 3rd and 4th being more developed towards the industry standards, and bringing in some of the materials that would be most useful for those students at the higher level work.
Financially, our health curriculum is going to put us under budget because it is coming in a lot cheaper than we spend on some of the other ones. So we're utilizing that opportunity to bring in some of this along with other funding we need to cover it. It's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity in my mind, especially as it continues to get more expensive quickly. In fact, we're on some timelines to avoid some tariffs and things like that that could affect the number and how much we can actually purchase. Questions and comments?
I have a question. I should have asked about the health one too.
Okay.
Do either one of the providers provide an automatic integration to Canvas?
Not that I know of.
So do teachers take information from there or link within Canvas to?
Yes.
Okay.
So Jessie Mott, our high school instructional coach, she's like our Canvas guru.
Yeah.
And she does a really good job that whether it's a natural integration or not, she has done a really good job of bringing over and linking and starts doing all her things and then helps support teachers to make sure it's in there too.
Yeah, just, obviously, in mine, we just require those things to happen because we're
Right.
all online, but,
Mhm.
it'd be interesting to know if they already have something that's seamless. Canvas is a big tool, so they
And
might
if
have
it,
something.
if it does, she'll be the one to find it, and
Okay.
if not, she'll put it on anyway.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Just to knock it out while you're both here, I noticed later on in like K&L, there's not an actual dollar amount. Is it a fluid item that changes, or are we
You
targeting
should
a dollar
have it
amount?
in the.
It's in the, it's in the backup, Joe.
It's in the backup.
But I would imagine if we're reading it, we're gonna wanna read it,
We have in the
a dollar
past.
amount for the record, right?
We don't have to for this, but we certainly can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right, I'll pull it back up.
Question on the dollars part of it, and we can pick whatever, diesel, or transportation and diesel technology. So we got this module, the kids are working through it, they go through the computer part of it, and then they go to the actual cat diesel motor that's out there. Where does that get paid, how does that get brought in?
So with these modules, everything is included. So it's a trainer, and the reason we're going with trainers is they're built to be taken apart and put back together.
Okay.
So we can actually go through multiple years on one trainer versus an actual machine is gonna break down.
Okay,
And then we're gonna
They're
have to
really
do-
cool kits.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And same with like electrical systems.
Mhm.
They'll be able to
Yeah.
do whatever they need to do with,
It's gonna be very innovative. I'm
I'm gonna
excited.
work with them on some labs too,
That's awesome.
that go together and come apart really fast that we use at the training center already.
is that something that IBEW can like help
Yeah,
support?
yep. Yep, IBW NICA, runs the NEITC apprenticeship school, so we have full labs that we already use that are really easy to build that we can do here.
Awesome. Very cool. Super exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? We're doing great. We're knocking it out of the park.
I would
Well,
like
you
to,
guys are knocking it out of the park. We're just here listening.
before they leave, I would just like to prolong this a little bit longer.
Why not?
How many
Um,
days?
But I would like to recognize, first of all, if you're still here, your deep education brain is in pretty good shape. This was very deep, very important stuff that is deep, deep, deep in the weeds in terms of expertise and education. But I wanted to point that out because of how blessed this school district is to have someone as skilled as Jen Berman who is leading this. I've sat through a lot of these, and even though it was long, it was probably the most detailed and most educational and easiest to understand that I've been a part of through the whole process. And for us to have an understanding just makes us better leaders in this community about the school district. And so, fantastic job, Jen, and all the data that comes with this that shows our growth and closing of gaps is because of your leadership and bringing in Aaron Gardenhire and our ability to speak about how we're going to change the game and how we're preparing our students to be industry ready, apprenticeship ready, and community college ready, and really competitive in the workforce is really due in part to the two leaders who are standing at this table. And so I just wanted to thank you for that and all the time and effort. I know how much time and effort goes into making sure ODE is happy, and you did a very good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One other question or comment before you leave. So I know that this was, the CTE portion was kind of concurrent with Malala doing something and with the help of CCC, right?
That's the dream.
That's
Yes.
just a
Yes.
dream. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We're doing our part. Our train is leaving the station with or without that. However, once we get to year 1, 2, or 3 of this implementation, we've specialized in the things that we've shared with you. Malala is working on specializing on different things. And our hope at the end of this rainbow is for us to fluidly send kids to Malala to specialize in their things, and Malala kids coming to us for those class periods to specialize in our things, ultimately allowing us to be as competitive as the big dogs like Portland Public, Salem Kaiser, North Clackamas, huge school districts that have their own special schools where they send kids back and forth. We're trying to do that at a rural scale.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. We don't have any discussion tonight anymore.
Sure.
Right, Denise?
Correct.
Thank you. Hearing of citizens for action items only.
None.
Okay, that moves us to the action items themselves. Item one is the consent agenda.
Chair Wheeler, sorry. I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and second. Any questions?
Just open positions for next year? I saw on there quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. But like I said, the pool is
Yeah,
full.
that's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Moving on. Item J, to approve the integrated grant application plan as presented mere minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. Chair Wheeler, can't say your name. I move to approve the integrated grant application plan in alignment with the Oregon Department of Education integrated guidance for 2025 to 2029, along with the two-year budget plan with an allocated amounts for 2025 to 2025-26 of $2,620,625.54 and 2026-27 of $2,727,377.74.
Second.
Anybody want to repeat that?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion on this? Not seeing any? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Thank you for doing that.
Item K, to approve the committee's recommendation to purchase health instructional materials K-12.
Chair Wheeler, I move to approve the committee's recommendations to purchase health instructional materials K-12 and approve our use of the Great Body Shop and Second Steps for K-5 and Live Well by Human Kinetics for 6-12 as our adopted health instructional materials.
Motion and second. Again, discussion on this?
I found the dollars. I just want to make sure it's here
Yep.
somewhere. So,
Yeah.
we're good. I'm at.
What was it?
Each one was spread out a little different. I've got them right here if you want to see them.
I think it was totaled. I have them spread out too, but it's totaled in the backup. Give me a second.
I have the spinny wheel for a minute.
Oh, we're all spinning wheels here.
Time's up.
Slip it.
Oh, yeah.
13,500.
Total 82,381.05.
82,381. Yep.
Okay,
Which is smoking cheap for what is it?
12.
K-12 curriculum. I mean, that's a fraction.
Yeah.
I'll add that the K-5 section was really modular.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of handouts. There's a lot for it.
okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Next up, we have item L, to approve the committee's recommendation to purchase instructional materials for CTE pathways.
Chair Wheeler, I move to approve the committee's recommendation to purchase instructional materials for CTE pathways and approve our use of the Amatrol Ignite for manufacturing and electrical systems and LJ Creates for transportation and diesel technology as our adopted instructional materials to support program implementation and student skill development.
Second.
Motion and second. Again, there's a dollar figure.
416,541. But that again is three separate pathways, right? So it's almost three different sets of, it is different sets of curriculum. We have some crossover there, but
Correct,
it's
with
not,
multi-years inside
Yeah.
each.
yeah, and
multi-levels.
multi-paths too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great investment.
Yep.
I'm really excited we're finally doing this. We talked about it for a long time.
Yes, we have. And just in full transparency, we budget $300,000 a year for curriculum, so this plus this is gonna put us over that budget. And so I just wanna make in full clearness that this will eat some end fund balance to cover that, which is worth it. It's what it's for, yeah.
How does that, the cat tax and Measure 98, some of that supplements this though, right? Or is that in a different way?
It's in a different way. We have, like, we pay for some people and some equipment and some supplies in those, and that's already spoken for
Okay.
in the budget. So this is in addition to even that.
Perfect. All right, any other questions? Let's vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Excellent. To appoint Ryan, item M, to appoint Ryan Austin to the Budget Committee.
It's a short one, I'll take it. Chair Wheeler, I move to appoint Ryan Austin to the Budget Committee.
Second.
We have a motion second. We have a question though.
Did we, is this one that we needed to amend from the earlier message
Nope.
about?
No.
Okay.
This
We're
one's
not-
good.
We're not doing it. Okay.
Yep.
And I would just say, from a discussion standpoint, Ryan took on a big role from the bond campaign and has really taken an active role within the district, and so I'm excited to see him
He's a great addition
being
to
part of
what
that
we're doing.
as a local business owner and committed to the community, so it's a great ad.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion, motion carries.
Excellent. Moving on, right along. To appoint 7 committee members and 1 alternate to the RISE Committee. Again, I'm taking a motion.
I'll take it. Chair Wheeler, I move to appoint Chelsea Mena, Crystal Hone, Nicole Andrews, Helena Steiner, David Cross, Addie Zur, I'm hoping I'm saying all these correctly, and Daryl Andrews to the RISE Committee. Aaron Smith is recommended as the alternate.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Questions? Discussion? Timing on this, to get off the ground?
We'll notify folks, and I can't remember when our intended target date is to start our first one, but we have a little bit of work to do. I'll get back to you on that.
Was this the one with the September 15th deadline?
Yeah.
Requirement, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I hope to start sooner than that.
Perfect. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving right along to approve the purchase of a 14-passenger Ford Transit SRW, single rear wheel, I believe, in transportation speak. Bus. Period.
Chair Wheeler, I move to approve the purchase of a 14-passenger Ford Transit SRW bus for $154,255 for the Estacada School District Transportation Fleet.
Second?
We got a motion and a second. This is just our continual plan of modernizing our fleet, right?
Correct. Each year, we budget money aside so that we can modernize our fleet, make sure we're still in compliance with the depreciation opportunities afforded to us by the state. We also know that with the current law and direction, both state and federal law is subject to change here hopefully soon, but diesel, as we know, is going extinct, or at least that's the reports that we've been given. And so this board has made it a priority to be very clear about no electric, and we're questionable or iffy about propane. And so while it still exists, we want to jump on it. The prices have gone up considerably over the last couple of years, and with tariffs, we're being told we need to move fast, or the prices will continue to rise. This particular bus is going to be a Swiss Army knife in our fleet. It's a 14-passenger yellow bus. We're going to be using it on the daily morning and afternoon route for the George Loop for those Georgians. They're going to have a brand-new bus to safely get up to a place, but it can also be used as a sub-20 transportation bus for athletics, and this is things that our coaches can drive also.
Excellent.
Like it.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Wow, we whipped right through that. Thanks to the great reports on it. Next up, we have item P, which is hearing of citizens for non-action items.
We do. Jim Morardi, not sure how to pronounce his last name, but come on up.
Jim, go ahead and step to the mic. As you step up, we're gonna read a little piece about, citizen comments. As a board, we appreciate and encourage public, input. However, Oregon Public Meeting Law requires these sessions to be held in public. This is a meeting in public, not a public meeting. The primary difference is being that a public input may be requested or allowed, but is not required under the law. In other words, you have the right to view, but not necessarily to participate. Policy BDDH is the guide for public participation. In essence, it states that a citizen must sign up in advance in the beginning of the regular meeting for an opportunity to speak. At all times, your comments are to be addressed directly to the board. Speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Those with a common topic of interest are asked to combine comments where possible. Designate topic at time of sign up and stay on topic. Any items already directed to the office of the superintendent for review are not to be heard in board session. And finally, neither the board nor the district personnel are expected or required to respond to the comments during the board meeting. Jim, welcome.
Thank you. I'm still here.
Thanks for
You made
riding
it.
it out.
Thank you. That was a lot of good information. I appreciate that.
I see, the topic is granddaughter,
Yes.
so,
And I will tell you, 3 minutes goes really fast, so, just as a forewarning there.
Got it. All right, here we go. Good evening, Estacada School Board. My name is Jim Moriarty, and I'm an Estacada resident. During these 8 years, my wife and I have been involved with the Estacada School District. We have had the honor of hosting 4 exchange students from Germany, Paraguay, Montenegro, and Spain. I'm also active with the Estacada High School, participating with the American Legion in their career fair for several years, encouraging students to excel with their educations and their futures. My concern here tonight is my own flesh and blood. My granddaughter is no longer attending Estacada School District. These are the reasons why. Number one, she was bullied this year continuously, and it did not stop. Her parents met with school officials and devised a plan for her to help her in school. My granddaughter, number 3, told me that she has a lot of substitute teachers every week, and they didn't follow or allow her to follow the agreed-upon plan. Number 4, the undue stress that these social interactions made my granddaughter physically ill. I'm not here to bash or trash the Estacada School District, but instead use this story as a learning experience in order to move forward. Our granddaughter is now enrolled in an online school curriculum. She is eating better, sleeping better, and excelling with her schoolwork. We have watched a child who loves school from kindergarten to absolutely hating school. I truly believe that the Estacada School District has failed my granddaughter. But I will continue to support the Estacada School District. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
thank you, Jim. With that, do we have anything, any other business?
Nope. Item Q.
All right. Meeting adjourned at,
Don't hit record.
9:18. Thank you, everybody.